The news broke like a shockwave across Russia as reports of mass worker demonstrations erupted from industrial hubs, transport sectors, and public service unions. What began as scattered labor disputes over wages and inflation suddenly transformed into a nationwide uprising of workers demanding economic justice, accountability, and a voice in the nation's future. Factories in rural cities halted production, railway lines slowed, and thousands of healthcare and education workers joined the movement, forming one of the most significant displays of worker unity Russia has seen in decades. Professor Richard Wolff, a renowned economist known for his analysis of labor and capitalism, described the situation as the inevitable result of years of deepening economic inequality, stagnant wages, and growing frustration among working-class Russians. He explained that the rising cost of living, combined with restricted labor rights and limited avenues for political expression, pushed workers to a breaking point. People who once remained silent out of fear or resignation are now stepping forward, fueled by shared struggle and the rising awareness of global labor movements demanding fairness. Eyewitness accounts from Moscow, St. Petersburg, Novosibirsk, and Yekaterinburg show crowds of workers rallying with banners demanding wage reforms, improved working conditions, and an end to policies they say prioritize elites and oligarchic power structures over ordinary people. Videos circulating across social platforms show large gatherings chanting for economic dignity, not just political change. Many workers insist that this is not driven by external influence or political opposition groups, but by genuine grassroots frustration among the population most affected by national economic policies. Wolff emphasized that a worker uprising is not simply a protest, it is an economic alarm bell. He noted that when the working class, the backbone of production, refuses to accept the status quo, it signals a profound structural crisis within the system. In his view, Russia is now facing a moment where the government must decide whether to suppress the movement or negotiate real economic reforms. Attempts at silencing workers through intimidation, he warned, could intensify the unrest and inspire new waves of resistance. International reaction has been cautious but attentive. European and Asian media outlets are closely tracking the developments, while labor organizations across the world have voiced solidarity with Russian workers, calling their struggle part of a larger global movement for workers' rights. Economists are watching closely, noting that if Russia yields to worker demands, it could inspire similar uprisings in countries where inequality has reached unsustainable levels. Russian state media initially downplayed the scale of the protests, framing them as isolated events. However, increasing footage, testimonies, and independent reports have made it difficult to contain the narrative. Local officials in several regions have already called for dialogue, urging the federal government to address the economic grievances being expressed with increasing intensity. Professor Wolff underscored that moments like this often mark turning points in history. When workers unify across industries, class, and region, it becomes more than a protest, it becomes a societal shift. He described the uprising as a reflection of a global awakening among the working class, who are recognizing their power and shaping economic systems that have long marginalized them. As the days progressed, the uprising gained momentum, drawing in sectors that had historically remained distant from political or labor activism. Transport workers, miners, energy sector employees, postal workers, and municipal service staff began coordinating strikes in a way that signaled a new level of organization. Telegram channels that once shared local grievances suddenly transformed into nationwide coordination hubs, with workers exchanging strategies, legal advice, and plans for peaceful demonstrations. The digital wave of worker-to-worker communication became a powerful force, bypassing traditional hierarchical structures and amplifying collective action without the need for a central leadership. In interviews shared online, workers stressed that their demands were not radical but rooted in basic human dignity. They pointed to wages that failed to keep up with inflation, soaring food and utility prices, and a lack of meaningful representation. Teachers spoke about classrooms lacking essential resources. Doctors described burnout from understaffed hospitals, and factory workers revealed the struggle of working overtime just to meet household expenses. Many expressed that they had reached a point where silence felt more dangerous than speaking out. The collective courage created a ripple of empowerment across communities that had long felt isolated in their struggles.